See what y'all lead me to? See what y'all lead to? I think this is only the third time I've held up an alcoholic beverage on a live stream. And I want to say I did it. I know I did it at least once before. I think I did it maybe twice before. This is the third time I've held up an alcoholic beverage. This is what y'all doing to me, man. Y'all making a brother want to drink, man. I don't even drink. That's real talk. Like, I don't drink beer at all. And when it comes to other forms of liquor, I only drink like occasionally / socially. I only drink occasionally / socially. But y'all making a brother want to drink. This actually is good. I first tasted this when I was in Jamaica last year. It's called banana rum cream. Where it tastes, I like rum cake, and it tastes really good on rum cake. Okay, let me get to this. Now, I know some of y'all tripping. Y'all like, what? Wait a minute, Alan? ARC, didn't you upload a video early this morning? Do you know, to my memory, and unless I'm forgetting the time, this is only starting with April of 2017 up until now. This is only the second time that I've recorded 2 separate videos in the same day. Recorded and uploaded 2 separate videos and uploaded them in the same. Now, I've had times where I recorded one long video and then I split it up into 2 parts or maybe even 3 parts and uploaded it. Like I did that just, Thursday? Or, no, Monday? Whatever day, some day this past week, earlier this week, I did a video and it was extra long. It ended up being like an hour and I want to say 25 minutes or an hour and a half. So what I did, I divided it into 2 parts and I uploaded. I uploaded part 1 that dealt with Kevin Samuels and the idea of collaborations, which was about 55 minutes long. And then I uploaded part 2 that had to do with Mumia Obsidian Ali and his assertion that black men experience more problems with women than non-black men do. Now, and that ended up being about somewhere between 20 to 25 minutes. So that was different. I recorded just one long video, then I split it up. In this situation today, I'm actually recording a second video. Like I said, this is only the second time over the last 3+ years that I've done this. This is only the second time in the last 3+ years. I get on YouTube in early April of 2017. So what? That's almost 3 years, just under 3 years ago. This will only be the second time that I've recorded 2 separate videos and uploaded them on the same day. But I just had to get some stuff off my chest. And here's what's going to blow my Patreon subscribers' mind. For only probably the 3rd, 4th, no more than 5th time, I have an admonishment for at least a small percentage of my Patreon subscribers. Normally, I don't really go in on my Patreon subscribers, but I had a new Patreon subscriber. Well, I had a guy, his name is David. He's a longtime client of mine, but he's a first-time Patreon subscriber of mine. And he participated in my Patreon live stream, which I do twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month, but at minimum twice a month. Every month I do at least one Patreon live stream for my $5 subscribers, which was the one today. And then towards the end of the month, I do a second Patreon live stream for my $10 and up subscribers, my $10 and up. And this Patreon subscriber, who I'll just simply call David, that's his real first name, he's been a client of mine, I want to say, since like 2015, 2016. But this was his first time becoming a Patreon subscriber. He was very disappointed with what he witnessed in today's Patreon exclusive live stream. He was very disappointed. He voiced his opinion both in the during the live stream, and he voiced it to me in an email. And I'm going to talk about that in my Patreon exclusive portion. So Patreon subscribers, I'm getting you ready. But first, I got to get some stuff off my chest, even though I already uploaded a video today. See, ever since I got on YouTube, I got a lot of guys that I love to death. Definitely my Patreon subscribers, and even at least a small percentage of guys who just watch me on YouTube, but they're not Patreon subscribers. I could call out some by name, but I don't want to feel like I'm leaving out anybody. But I got some guys that I'm going to preface my comments by saying, you know who you are, the guys who are cool, who either always co-sign with what I say, you always show me a lot of love, a lot of kudos, a lot of respect that humbles me. And even some guys who might disagree with some things I say, you at least are willing to give me an intelligent, mature, objective-minded disagreement. So if you fall in that category, this video is not for you. So I think you know that even without me saying it, but I'm just putting it out there. For the guys who show me none but love, give me none but kudos and respect. And or even people who sometimes disagree with me, but it's always an intelligent, mature, objective-minded type disagreement. You got nothing but love for me. You got nothing but love for me. But there's at least 3 groups of guys that since I've been on YouTube, that just really get on my fucking nerves. And really, I don't have to tell you, you should be able to guess those 3 groups yourself. But there's a minimum of 3 general groups of guys that just get on my nerves. That just really, really get on my nerves. But on the positive end, I've said this before, here will be the positive end even of these 3 groups. Y'all give me something to talk about in my free YouTube portion. See, if it wasn't, honestly, here's the compliment I would give these 3 groups. If it wasn't for these 3 groups of men, I wouldn't be on YouTube. I actually just told my brother that probably within an hour or so ago. We were talking on the phone about it. If it wasn't for these 3 groups, the positive thing I'll say about these 3 groups of men is if it wasn't for these groups, I wouldn't be on YouTube. I would just do strictly, exclusively Patreon videos. That's all I would do. I've said that to you guys before. Because when it comes to my purely advice-driven videos, I reserve those for my Patreon exclusive videos. See, my Patreon exclusive, so if you want to watch videos that where you don't have to listen to me do a bunch of rambling, digressing away from the main topic, or talking about beefs with people or drama with people, then that's when you need to become a Patreon subscriber and just watch my Patreon exclusive videos. Because I don't have none of that shit in my Patreon exclusive videos. My Patreon exclusive videos are like 95 to 99% pure advice. Pure advice. When it comes to the other shit, like offering responses and rebuttals to my haters and critics, people who comment in my comment section and talking about stuff to do with drama and beefs and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I relegate that to my YouTube free portion. But here are the 3 groups of guys that at minimum amuse me with the shit they say, at minimum amuse me, and at maximum irritate me. And that would be, number 1, what I simply call my haters and critics. My haters and critics. Number 2 would be my copycats and plagiarists. My copycats and plagiarists. And number 3 would be whiners and complainers, and more specific emphasis on black male whiners and complainers. That would be the 3 groups of men that just on YouTube just get on my nerves. Is haters and critics, haters and critics, copycats and plagiarists, and whiners and complainers. And I got something to say about all 3 of you guys. And sometimes it's going to overlap in 2 of the categories. Okay. Let me start with this. Now, y'all know since 2017, I've had a lot of beefs with the YouTube personality and former YouTube podcaster Mumia Obsidian Ali. That goes without saying. I don't think I have to tell most of you guys that. I would say of all the people I beef with since I've been on YouTube, I would say he's arguably my number one person that I've had back and forth public beefs with. To give you the 2-minute backstory, it started in 2015. He did a podcast criticizing me, saying that Alan Roger Currie, I'm going to be paraphrasing a lot of stuff he said. I'm not going to repeat what he said word for word. But essentially, he came out with a podcast, I think it was in August of 2015, where he said, Alan Roger Currie, on the positive end, he gives a lot of good advice, but I think he's too bougie for the average black man to relate to. He's too bougie. Those weren't his exact words, but essentially that's what he said. He said, Alan Roger Currie, he gives some good advice, but he's too bougie for the average blue-collar working-class brother or the average brother from the streets, the ghetto, to relate to. You know, because both his parents are college-educated. He comes from a middle-class, if not upper-middle-class family. Him and his brother are college-educated. He's an above-average, handsome-looking type brother. He got a smooth, seductive style of verbal communication. And not most black men fit into that category. So he basically was like, on the positive end, he was like, Alan gives some good advice, but he said, I don't think he's relatable to most black men in society because he too bougie. Again, these were not his exact words, but essentially that's what he said. And I fired back and said, basically, nigga, you don't know me. How you gonna say I'm unrelatable and you don't even know me? I don't know who the fuck you are. Who are you? I don't know you. Who are you? So he ended up doing an apology podcast. I still got it. He did an apology podcast. He apologized to me. He basically was like, Alan, you're right. I came at you the wrong way. I apologize. Then he start taking it upon himself to market and promote my books. Let me emphasize that again. I didn't ask him to. Now, you know my last video dealt with collaborations. I didn't ask him to promote my books. He just took it upon himself to start. The number one book he promoted was The Possibility of Sex. He loved The Possibility of Sex. He loved The Possibility of Sex so much, he actually offered to finance a book signing event for me for The Possibility of Sex. But I didn't have that in paperback. So I told him, I said, you can only do a book signing if the book is in paperback or hardcover form. I said, that book is only in ebook form, in audiobook form. So he's like, oh, okay. But yeah, he loved the book, The Possibility of Sex, just like Alpha Male Strategies. I think that's Alpha Male Strategies because that's the book that Alpha Male Strategies has ripped off of the most of my books, is The Possibility. That's actually, I've said this before, of my 4 books, as far as on the category of copycats and plagiarists, that's the number one book that has been most ripped off of mine. Most people think it's Mode 1, but it's actually not. I would say of my 4 books, the number one book that I've had the most people bite, at minimum just casually bite off of, and at maximum just flat out verbally plagiarize from, number 1 would be The Possibility of Sex. Number 2 would be The Beta Male Revolution. Number 3 would be Mode 1. And number 4 would be Who Said. I've hardly ever had anybody try to bite off Who Said Again. I was telling Gab that. That book is almost written like a memoir. It's almost not even not written like a self-help book. It's written like a memoir. That book is almost written like a memoir. It's so unique to me that it would be very challenging for people. I mean, if somebody was to try to imitate the Who Said Again, it would be blatantly obvious that you're stealing my shit. It would be blatantly obvious. But the one thing I've had bitten off of that book is that chapter where I talk about how social programming affects your ability to seduce a woman. How social programming and cultural conditioning affects your ability to seduce a woman. That's the one aspect from Who Said Again that I have had a few people bite off of. But other than that, that book is too personal to me for people to bite off of. But yeah, the most bitten off book of mine is The Possibility of Sex. Man, I've had probably like 36 people, minimum, that to one degree or another have bitten off of my book, The Possibility of Sex. But going back to Obsidian, that's the number one book he bit off. that he loved the most back in 2015. He did a whole episode on his channel about the possibility of sex. And to a lesser extent, he promoted and marketed Mo 1. Now again, I got to emphasize again, I didn't ask him to. He did that on his own. He chose to do that. And I was appreciative of that. I even offered him some money at one point, and he respectfully declined. So I said, okay. So we were cool. Starting when I would say roughly November of 2015 up until about mid to late May of 2017, me and Obsidian actually used to be real cool. We even talked on the phone privately at least a half a dozen times. We used to be real cool. But then when I did a video where I was criticizing the murderous incel known as Elliot Rodger, Obsidian kind of came into my comment section almost semi-defending him and semi-empathizing with him. He didn't defend him for the murders he had committed, so let me make that clear. Obsidian didn't defend his homicidal tendencies, but what he defended is, he said Elliot Rodger has a right to want to share the company of beautiful, sexy women. That was his main comment. He said Elliot Rodger has the right to want to share the company of beautiful, sexy women. And I said, no, he doesn't. He has the right to desire beautiful, sexy women's companionship, but he doesn't have an entitlement to actually share their company. He can desire their companionship, but no man has the right. No woman is obligated to allow any man to share their company in a romantic or strictly sexual manner. I've said that a million times. No woman on this earth is obligated to allow any man to share their company in a romantic or strictly sexual manner. So anyway, we fell out. Now, I ain't gonna get into anything more in backstory. Let me just fast forward to today. As y'all know, in part 2 of my video that I uploaded on, I can't remember the day. I think it was Thursday. Was it Thursday? I think it was Thursday. I went after Mumia Obsidian in part 2 of that video. Again, I uploaded 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 2, I went after in response to an interview he did with Gab Talk Media. And he called himself doing a response to me on his podcast show on some platform called Mixler. Not really familiar with that platform, but so be it. Now here's the thing, man. How you going to invite me? He sent me an email. He sent me an email inviting me to come to his show, come to his podcast program. And I did a Patreon exclusive live stream, so I missed most of it. But I caught some of it after I finished my live stream. And he's talking about me. He's addressing me. So I say, okay, send me the link so we can talk man to man. Thinking he'd be like, oh, okay. He says, no. And I ask him again. I say, hey, man, send me the link so we can talk about this man to man. He says, no. Obsidian, if you listen to man, you a punk, man. And if I was standing in your face, I'd tell you you're a punk. You're a punk. Yeah, you're a punk. How you going to invite me to your show, and then when I ask you to send me the link so we could talk about the issues man to man, you going to refuse? You ain't representing no man in my book. Because I ain't never did no shit like that. Anybody, if I'm starting shit with somebody and they want to talk to me, they can talk to me. I ain't scared to talk to nobody. Face to face, over the phone, through the internet, nobody. Nobody. Alan Roger Currie don't back down from nobody. I ain't scared to talk to nobody. I ain't scared to talk to nobody. Now, there's been people I've had a lack of interest in talking to, so let me clarify that. There's a difference between having a lack of interest in talking to somebody and being scared. There's some people on YouTube that I've been invited to talk with that I just simply had a lack of interest in talking, because to me, I didn't respect their level of intelligence. But as far as being scared to talk to them, I ain't scared to talk to nobody, especially if I invite you into my platform. If I invite you to my channel, I invite you to like a live stream I'm doing, why am I not going to allow you to talk to me? I give you an example. I remember this is how me and C Boogie became cool. I said a criticism of C Boogie, and he fired at me. And the first thing I did, and he'll tell you this himself, first thing I did was I wrote him, I said, let me come on your channel. Instead of just going back and forth in the comment section, whatever, I said, do a live stream, let me come on your channel. We'll talk about this man to man. We'll talk about our differences man to man. We'll air shit out man to man. And he did. He did a live stream. That's actually how me and C Boogie became cool. Was because I issued a criticism about something he said on Obsidian show, live stream. And then he fired back. Because what it was, I said, the only niggas who criticize me on Obsidian live stream is brothers who ain't never dealt with no non-black women. These brothers ain't never dealt with no non-black women. And C Boogie fired back. He said, no, I actually was married to a white woman. I've dealt with my share of non-black women. So you wrong, ARC. You don't know what the fuck you talking about. I have dealt with non-black women. And he sounded angry about it. So I said, send me a link. We'll talk. And we did, like man to man. And that's actually when me and him first became cool. But Obsidian, he gonna send me an email, invite me to his show. And then when I come to his chat room, he ain't gonna allow me to talk to him man to man. Man, that's some punk shit right there, man. Straight up, that's some punk shit. Now I'm gonna talk about the category of whiners and complainers, since I'm talking about Obsidian. Because to me, he falls into that category of the three categories. Whiners and complainers. I hear him talking about, well, Ellen Roger Currie is wrong. Black women are the toughest women to deal with in the world. White men don't want to deal with black women. Asian women don't want to deal with black women. Hispanic men don't want to deal with. See, now he changing the conversation. Because, see, that ain't what he said on Gab. See, he does that a lot. He changing the conversation. When Gab was interviewing him, he didn't talk about that black women were the most challenging to deal with for non-black men. He didn't say that. He said black women were more challenging for black men to deal with than non-black women are for non-black men to deal with. And that's what I addressed. That's what I addressed. See, he changed it. It's a subtle change, but that's a difference. There's a difference between saying that Asian men have a harder time dealing with black women than they do Asian women, than saying that Asian men have a harder time, black men have a harder time dealing with black women than Asian men do dealing with Asian women. See, when you're talking about interracial dating, that's always going to be challenging, even for black men. That's always going. It ain't easy to date white women. Contrary to popular belief, it ain't easy for black men. If you are a handsome, smooth, sexy, and seductive black man, it's going to be easy for you to hook up with white women, Hispanic women, and Asian women. Let's just keep it real. Let's keep it funky, as young people like to say, let's keep it a buck. If you are handsome, confident, masculine, smooth, seductive, sexy type black man, it's going to be easy for you to hook up with non-black women, particularly white women. Or if you're a guy who has a reputation for being wealthy and financially generous, it might be also relatively easy for you to hook up with some non. But if you're just an average looking brother with no mouthpiece, you're not really confident, you're not really masculine, you ain't smooth, sexy, or seductive, I guarantee you I'll put $10,000 on this. You ain't going to have no easy time hooking up with white women. I guarantee you won't. And since I was talking about Obsidian, where's Obsidian's white women if they so easy to hook up with? Where's his white women at? Where's his white women at? I want Obsidian to show me his white women and his Asian women and his Hispanic women. Show your work, motherfucker. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. That's his phrase. I don't want to be accused of stealing somebody else's phrase. That's Kevin Samuels, who I've been talking about a lot. That's his phrase. Show your work. Show me your work, Obsidian. If it's so easy for any brother to hook up with white women, Asian women, Hispanic, where's your white women at? Show me photos and or videos. Show them to me. Don't give me that I love to be discreet shit. Fuck that. You call yourself a dating coach, you got to open up your life, bro. You got to open up your life. Otherwise, you ain't going to have no credibility in this dating coaching game. I'm going to tell you that straight up. You got to open up your life, bro. I told Gab that the other night. So if it's so easy for you to hook up with white women, Asian women, Hispanic women, as well as all brothers, show me. Don't tell me, show me. Show me. Don't tell me, show me. But you was a punk for what you did today. You was a punk, dude. I came to your channel because you invited me. Now, it'd be different if I just came on my own looking to have a man-to-man talk and you rejected me. I wouldn't be bitter because you didn't invite me. But you invited me, man. I got the email. You sent me an invite to listen to your show. When somebody sends me an invite, I'm expecting that they're going to allow me to talk to them man to man. And you didn't. So in my book, you a punk, man. If not in general, on this weekend, you punked out. You punked out, man. Don't ever talk shit to me and you going to punk out like that. Because I guarantee you, if the situation was reversed and I was addressing you in the live stream and you came in my chat room, I'm going to give you the link and I'm going to say, come on, Obsidian. Come on, man. It's just like when a certain podcast, who I'm not going to mention their name, but another YouTube personality was quote unquote roasting me last year. I went in his chat room. I said, give me the link so we could talk man to man. And he didn't. Dude, I ain't scared to talk to nobody. Face to face, over the phone, through the internet. If I'm talking shit about you and you want to respond and offer me a response and rebuttal to it directly, I'm going to give you that opportunity. Y'all no backbone motherfuckers here on YouTube. This brother got backbone, man. I don't back down from nobody. I dare anybody on YouTube to ever say they challenge me to something and I back down. I don't back down from nobody, man. Believe that shit. I don't back down from nobody. All you whiners and complainers, man. If y'all just an average run-of-the-mill brother, y'all ain't pulling no white women. Keep that shit real. Y'all ain't pulling no white women unless you tricking. Spending money on these bitches, giving them materialistic gifts. But on as far as pulling white women, Asian women, Hispanic women, just on a combination of your looks, your confidence and masculinity, your mouthpiece, and your overall personality and behavior, y'all ain't pulling no quality. Y'all ain't pulling no 7, 8, 9, 10 caliber white women. I dare you to say you are. I dare you to say you are if you just an average run-of-the-mill brother. I dare you to say you are. No, you're not. You're lying. So why is Obsidian up here acting like talking about white women are easier to hook up with? No, they're not. For if you're Boris Kojo, yeah, white women are easy to hook up with. Denzel Washington in his heyday. Or even if you're a gangster rapper like 50 Cent or somebody, or whoever else is Odell Beckham or some other professional athlete or entertainment industry celebrity. Yeah. Dudes like that, or even if not a celebrity, if you're a brother that's handsome, got an athletic physique, you confident, you masculine, you got a smooth, charming, charismatic, seductive mouthpiece. Yeah, them type of brothers gonna be able to pull white women with ease, Asian women with ease, Hispanic women with ease, Middle Eastern women with ease. But if you just a regular brother, come on, man. Why y'all lying to yourselves? Y'all gonna have to put out a lot of money to pull women, non-black women. So enough about that category. Again, I said I was gonna talk about 3 categories. Haters and critics, whiners and complainers, and copycats and plagiarists. So that pretty much covers my thing on whiners and complainers, and in particular, with me, Obsidian Ali. Haters and critics. A couple of people came in my comment section, not too many, just like 1 or 2, no more than 3, of my video I just did earlier this morning, talking about, okay, I'm going to read one. One in particular, I'm going to just read at least one. It's from a guy who goes by the name Signy G. Signy G. I'm addressing, if nobody else is commenting, I'm going to address Signy G's. And this will cover my category of haters and critics. Signy G. I'm going to read what he has to say. He said, "Hello. With all due respect, Mr. Allen, Being an owner of audiobooks plus audio content and a former Patreon subscriber of yours, your content here on YouTube and Patreon is lacking in the aspect of motivating me to do a one-on-one coaching session with you, which to my understanding is your most valued service you offer. Yes, it is. Yeah, that's my most expensive coaching service, is one-on-one face-to-face coaching. Now, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you get significant discounts on my one-on-one face-to-face coaching. But if you're not a Patreon subscriber, that's extremely expensive for you to get one-on-one face-to-face coaching from me. But I've never had a person who did a one-on-one face-to-face coaching session with me complain about it or ask for their money back or anything like that. All of my customers were satisfied that I've done a one-on-one face-to-face coaching session with. All of them. I've never gotten, not one time have I gotten negative feedback from somebody that I've done a one-on-one face-to-face coaching session with. Not one time. Facts. Let me continue. I'm a millennial born in 1984, and my peer group is having problems with communication, especially with the opposite sex. We have issues creating a productive rapport with them, both sexually and non-sexually. You are one of the few YouTubers that have the skill set to help us millennials with this. However, my issue with you is the content you have been providing is not meeting the growing demand. You don't provide enough examples of how to use it in a modern context. That's bullshit, Signy G. That's bullshit. And number one, I don't know why you're saying the word modern context, because basically the way my Mo 1 approach works, it works the same way in 2020 that it did in 2010, that it did in 2000, that it did in 1990. There's no real difference. There might be a few minor subtle differences, but there is no real difference. Matter of fact, to take it a step further, I have 4 variations of Mode 1 to keep it flexible for guys. I got what I call Mode 0. I got Mode 1 Hardcore, if you really got big balls and backbone, strong backbone. I got Mode 1 Hardcore. I got conventional or default Mode 1 approach. And then for my more conservative and verbally cautious men, I even have a version called Mode 1.5. If you can't execute at least one of those 4 modes, particularly if you can't even execute Mode 1.5, something is wrong with you. You just flat out don't got no balls and you ain't got no backbone. And actually, that's indirectly related to my admonishment of my Patreon subscribers that I'm going to do in just a little bit. I can understand guys being scared to execute a Mode 1 Hardcore approach. I totally understand that. I can even sometimes understand people who are still resistant to do a conventional Mode 1 approach. What I call the conventional default approach. But if you don't have the balls, the confidence and courage to execute a Mode 1.5 approach, something is wrong with you. It ain't got nothing to do with me and what I'm lacking. That has to do with you. That's the easiest approach there is as a Mode 1.5. That's the easiest fucking approach there is. And I've given plenty of examples of all my variations of Mode 1. So what you just said in that last sentence I read of yours, that is bullshit. That is straight up bullshit. You don't know what the fuck you talking about, Signy G. I got hundreds, if not thousands of guys that would disagree with that comment you got in that comment. And you notice, as of right now, that comment only got like 1 like. And I think that was by you. Ain't nobody else co-signing with you or agreeing with you. That's a bullshit comment. I'm very thorough when I do Skype and telephone consultations with clients. I'm very thorough when I do one-on-one face-to-face coaching sessions with clients. And to a lesser extent, I'm even very thorough when I do just email consultations with clients. How many email consultations have you purchased from me? Let me know. How many Skype and telephone consultations have you purchased from me? Let me know. And you already admitted you haven't done a one-on-one face-to-face coaching session with me. If you haven't done at least 1 email consultation with me, at least 1 Skype or telephone consultation with me, you're not in a position to criticize me. What you're doing is just straight up hating. It's not an objective-minded criticism. It'd be different if you did like 3 or 4 Skype consultations with me and still felt like I didn't help you. Then you would be in a position to legitimately criticize me. I guarantee you haven't. Let's continue. Your Mo 1 brand is not really clear in my peer group, and we have no clear understanding on how to use it in our lives effectively. Then you're unintelligent. I'm just going to keep it real, man. I don't know any other way to say it. Mo 1 is not rocket science, fellas. Let me make this clear, man. And again, this is actually going to be related to one of the things I'm going to talk about in my Patreon exclusive portion to my Patreon subscribers. Mo 1 ain't rocket science. Y'all make it way more complicated than what it actually is. Mo 1, in simple terms, really simple terms, is about letting women know in the first 5 minutes of your very first conversation with them why you approach them, why you're conversing with them, and ultimately why you want to share their company one-on-one. What's hard to understand about that? That's basically what Mo 1 is simply all about. It's about letting women know, why did you really approach them? Why did you approach a woman? 9 times out of 10 is because you find her physically attractive and sexually appealing. Is there anything hard to understand about that? So you've got enough confidence and courage to approach a woman. Now you start talking to them. Okay, the next question is, why are you really talking to this woman? What's your number one motivation for carrying on a conversation with this woman? I doubt if it's because you want to learn about her favorite movies. I doubt if it's because you want to learn about her favorite foods. I doubt if it's because you want to hear about her high school experiences or college experiences. Now, if you're looking at this woman as your next long-term girlfriend or future wife, you might want to learn as much as possible about her before progressing to talking about being intimate with her. I'll give you that. If you've already identified this woman as a woman you want to be your next long-term girlfriend or your future wife, you might want to find out as much about her background and her personality and her character as possible. I'll give you that. Then go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that. But ultimately, it comes down to this. Every woman that a man has approached or wanted to approach but was scared to, really comes down to this. You either want to do one of four things. You either want to engage in long-term monogamous sex with that woman, long-term non-monogamous sex with that woman, short-term monogamous sex, or one or more episodes of short-term non-monogamous casual sex. My question, straightforward question to you is, do you have the balls to straightforwardly tell a woman that? Yes or no? This is a yes or no question. Do you have the balls to straightforwardly tell a woman that? Signy G, I get the impression you don't have the balls to straightforwardly tell a woman that. I do. I do. I don't beat around the bush with women. If I want a one-night stand with a woman, I tell them. If I want a weekend fling with a woman, I tell them. If I want a woman to be my next casual fuck buddy, sex fuck buddy, I tell them. If I want them to be in a polyamorous relationship with me, I tell them. If I want to fuck them and their roommate, I tell them. If I want to fuck them and their best friend, I tell them. It ain't nothing rocket science about that. It all comes down to how big are your balls? How strong is your backbone? That's what it really comes down to. How big are your balls? How strong is your backbone? You acting like it's this complex, really detailed thing you got to learn to be Mo 1. No, it ain't. Mo 1 is really just about challenging you as a man to grow bigger balls. That's what I did. When I first started being Mo, the first time I was Mo 1, if whoever owns my book, Say It Again, knows the very first time I was Mo 1 with a woman. It was verbal seduction story number 1 in my book, Say It Again, the infamous triple date story. That was the first time. That was in August of 1984. August of 1984. It wasn't about nothing that I had to understand that was complex. It really just comes down to your balls, man. Most men in society, plain and simply, don't have the balls and backbone to straightforwardly let women know that they want to fuck them. And so most of my consultation sessions and coaching sessions centers around, why don't you have the balls? What mentally is stopping you? What fears are stopping you? What egotistical insecurities are stopping you? What past traumatic experiences with women have you had that's stopping you? What invalid beliefs do you maintain that's stopping you? What negative attitudes about women and dating and relationships in general is stopping you? That's all my coaching and consultations is what they center around. The answer is simple. The answer is you need to have bigger balls and stronger backbone. And again, my role as a dating coach, when I do my consultation and coaching, is to find out what in your head, in your mind, is stopping you. What's stopping you from straightforwardly telling women that you want to put your dick in their mouth? I ain't scared to say shit to a woman. Anybody know me in real life? Know that's more than the truth. I'm going up to women, and the first thing I said to them before I said, hello, my name is Alan or anything, was I can't wait to see my dick in your mouth. That's literally, with some women, that was the first thing I said to these women. I was talking about Sasha Day Game in my earlier video. He'll tell you, if you want to know somebody who's fairly popular in the manosphere, or at least used to be, Sasha Day Game. When he hung out with me in London, when I did his direct dating summit, he told me straight up after he hung out with me for about 2 or 3 days, he said, Alan, you are by far the most verbally bold and sexually straightforward man I have ever hung around with in my entire adult life. Hands down, no one's even close. He said, I've hung around a number of dating coaches, pickup artists, seduction gurus. He said, when it comes to being verbally bold and sexually straightforward with women, he said, ain't nobody I've ever hung around, not even David X. He said, you are the most verbally bold and sexually straightforward man I've ever hung around with in my life. It's very few people, man, walking the face of this earth that are more verbally bold and sexually straightforward with women than me. Particularly, I've even calmed down a little bit in my 40s and 50s, but man, if y'all hung around me in my 20s and 30s, I'm telling you right now, I wasn't scared to say shit. I mean, literally nothing. I would go up to women and the first thing out my mouth would be, I can't wait to fuck you doggy style. That would be literally the first thing out my mouth. That takes balls, man. You got to have balls. That's what Mode 1 is about in a nutshell. It's about having big-ass motherfucking balls. 95 to 99% of men in society do not have big-ass motherfucking balls like me. Period. Facts. Let me continue. This is why AMS has been so successful. He's made his content easy to use in the modern dating scene. One aspect of his success was his live streaming and taking calls, which would help you a lot reaching new clients. Creating rants videos are not helping my generation in getting to know your products and services. I'll just simply say this. I got 2 or 3 things to say in response to that. I don't do public live streams. If you want to talk to me on a live stream and like have me take a call from you, you're going to have to pay for that shit. If AMS is willing to do that for free, more power to them. I ain't doing that for free, man. For better or for worse, I ain't doing that for free. I don't do public live streams. If you want to participate in a live stream with me, you got to pay for that. At minimum, you got to pay $5 a month on my Patreon page. If you want to interact with me on live stream. At minimum, you got to pay $5. If you're a $10 Patreon subscriber to me, you not only get to participate in 2 live streams per month, but you get to do email consultations with me. If you're a $20 subscriber of mine, not only do you get to participate in 2 Patreon exclusive live streams per month, but you get to do a 20-minute Skype or telephone consultation with me. And if you're a $50 subscriber of mine, not only do you have access to my 2 live streams, Patreon exclusive live streams, but you get to do up to 60 minutes worth of Skype and telephone consultation time with me. So if you suggested that I should be doing free public live streams and talking to people over the phone or through Skype for free, fuck that. Again, for better or for worse, fuck that. If other dating coaches want to do that, like AMS and whoever, more power to them. But I ain't doing that shit. I'm sorry. I'm a businessman. I got bills to pay. I ain't doing that shit for free. You're crazy. I ain't doing that shit for free. Now, I'll tell you the one time, technically, I did used to do it for free. It was in my 9 years on Blog Talk Radio. I used to give a lot of guys free advice over the phone during a lot of my Blog Talk Radio shows, which I did between 2007 and 2016. So to defend myself, I did used to talk to a lot of men for free without them paying for it when I did my Blog Talk Radio shows. But since I've been on YouTube, I ain't doing that shit for free. And not to knock AMS, but to compare AMS to me, you can't compare AMS to me. I'm sorry. I'm just going to keep it real. AMS ain't challenging nobody to do nothing that requires balls. He encourages men to lie to women, mislead and manipulate women, toy with women's emotions to get them in bed, and just generally a bunch of indirect verbal game type shit. He is an indirect verbal game coach. AMS is not a direct verbal game coach. He's an indirect. He got a whole chapter in his new book talking about why he is against the direct approach, chapter 65. So you can't compare him to me. Indirect game is always going to be easier than direct game. I've said that multiple times. Indirect game is always going to be easier to execute than direct game. That's why most people favor indirect game. That's why most indirect dating coaches make more money than most direct dating coaches. Because it's easy. You ain't putting your balls on the line when you're indirect. You ain't putting your balls on the line. You ain't putting your ego on the line in a major way when you're indirect. It's easier. A fifth grader could be indirect with a woman. That don't take no real confidence and no real courage, no balls or backbone. I'm just keeping it real. It don't take no balls and backbone to be indirect. To be direct, mode one, you gotta have some big ass motherfucking balls. And I would say even bigger balls if you're talking about being mode one hardcore like I am at least 1/3 of the time. To be mode one hardcore, you gotta have super duper big ass balls. Most of you, I would say less than 1% of men in this world got them type of balls. I do. So don't compare me to AMS. And plus, it goes without saying, when it comes to his advice related to preventing women from not using you and exploiting you for your non-sexual time, attention, and companionship, he got all that shit from me. He knows it, I know it. Now, some of his other aspects of his advice, he might have got them from somebody else. Because again, most of his approaching advice and how to hook up with a woman advice is indirect stuff. Like he emphasizes going out on 3 dates. I don't emphasize that bullshit. But the one aspect of his advice he straight up ripped from me is his advice about, which really don't make sense. How you going on Winnie and tell guys don't allow women to use you and exploit you for your non-sexual time, attention, and companionship, but then turn around and say, hey man, go on as many as 3 dates with a woman to get the pussy? That's a contradiction. I ain't trying to go out on 3 dates with a woman to get her to be my casual fuck buddy. That's a waste of motherfucking time and money. So don't even put me in the same sentence as AMS. Indirect is easy. That shit's easy. It does not take balls to be indirect. None. So I'm done with that. Haters and critics. And then finally, my copycats and plagiarists. I'm going to just use this analogy. I use this analogy, I think, on C Boogie's live stream. I'm going to use it again. Here's how I feel. And first of all, a lot of people came in my comment section empathizing with my frustration. They understand and empathize with my frustration. And I want to tell you guys who do, I appreciate you. I love you, actually. I love you. I adore you. I appreciate you. Because y'all know what I'm feeling. Because I had a couple guys come in and say, well, let me just read a few real quick. I'm going to read a couple comments I liked real quick in my video from earlier today. Okay, Jaron Taylor says, I don't blame you, Unc. You've worked hard and started your brand from scratch. You put in the groundwork and built it up. Putting in what, 20 plus years of work or something close to that? Actually, 30 years, Jaron, to be truthful. I start exhibiting Mode 1 behavior in August of 1984. I put it on paper for the first time in October of 1990. I wrote my first 25, 30-page pamphlet in summer of 1995. I copyrighted my first copy of Mode 1 in 1997, and I made my first ebook available on the internet in May of 1999. I've been in the game for a while, man. I've spoken internationally. I've been on national television. I got a Wikipedia page. Anyway, going back to what Jaren was saying. I wouldn't want anybody coming piggybacking off of me either, making money off of my stuff. I hate to sound like a hater, but that would really tick me off. For somebody to wake up one day and just start making money off of my work when they haven't put in half the work. And then they don't even give me my credit, my proper credit. How you gonna come steal my stuff and then make money off of my stuff and then try to claim it as your own? It gets no lower than that. Exactly. Props to you, Jaren Taylor. Props to you, man. I love you, man. I don't even know you, and I love you, man. See, you understand Alan Roger Currie's frustration, man. I done paid my dues, man. I didn't put in the work, man. And I don't like seeing people, these Johnny-come-latelys, coming out in the last year, last 2 years, last 3 years, basically repeating, regurgitating, and plagiarizing my shit and attempting to make money off of it. If you was in my face, I gotta stop myself. I'm letting the devil take over. I gotta stop myself. I'm telling y'all, man, I got a dark side, man. Some of y'all lucky, man. Real talk. I'm just gonna say that. Some of y'all lucky, bro. My brother knows it. Some of my close friends know it. Dude, I'm telling you, man, I don't really consider myself a violent man. But when it comes to my brand, man, dude, some of y'all lucky y'all only interact with me through the internet. Because y'all would be in a casket and I would be in prison. I'm just putting it like that. Some of y'all, if I allowed my dark side to take over, y'all would be in a casket and I would be in prison, which would be a lose-lose situation for both of us. Another comment I want to read real quick before I wrap up. Lone Star. Shout out to Lone Star. Lone Star said, if we're being honest, most of the knowledge and advice circulated within what's known as the Black manosphere pertaining to dating and relationships can be traced back to Alan Roger Currie and Ron Wills, in my opinion. Particularly Alan Roger Currie. It's as if his specific ideas, techniques, and concepts from Mode 1 and Who Said Again are considered to be something like common knowledge or a public body of facts rather than the unique intellectual creation in his mind, from his mind. Lone Star. Nothing but love for you, baby. Nothing but love and respect for you, baby. Man, you almost made me want to cry, man, when you wrote that, man. I ain't even trying to be funny, man. That let me know, man, you understand my frustration. By what you wrote, you understand why I get so agitated and frustrated, man. A lot of people have been taking my shit and acting like it's just part of the game. Like AMS when he said last year, 2 years ago, the game is the game is the game. That's bullshit. I know what's mine. I know what I uniquely created. And a lot of people have been trying to take my unique concepts and principles and philosophies and archetypes and make it seem like it's just common street knowledge shit. No, it ain't. Some of it is. There's a small portion of my stuff that can arguably said is just regular common knowledge stuff. But a lot of my shit is unique to me. And see, brothers like, well, I don't know if he's a brother. He might be a non-black guy. I call him a brother anyway. If he's not black, he's an honorary brother. But see, this brother Lone Star, he recognizes the true genius of Alan Roger Currie. Let me continue. The Mode 1ization of the dating sector on YouTube is something I've noticed progressing since 2016. I'd say for anyone on the fence or unfamiliar with the dating coach scene, I'd just say go to the original source. All those other channels and personalities, once distilled down to the advice and concepts purely unique to them, are ultimately highly incoherent, contradictory, and ineffective. He said the word contradictory. AMS anybody? The Mode 1 brand is the most coherent and effective philosophy approach for dealing with women. Thank you, Lone Star, man. Again, man, Your feedback on my video, man, this morning, man, almost brought a tear to mine. I'm not trying to just be lighthearted or facetious. Your feedback like Jaron Taylor's and a couple other guys, man, who always show me love and give me kudos and respect. That feedback meant a lot to me, man. Real talk. That feedback meant a lot to me because it's the truth. I don't think y'all know, man, when I'm talking about letting my dark side out. You know, in the corporate world, man, a lot of y'all probably don't know how real corporate life works, man. There are things called corporate spies where people will get hired at like, I'm going to use an example. It's not what really happened, but I'm going to use an example. Let's say that there's a major feud between Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Those are bitter rivals. And sometimes somebody who used to work for Pepsi will get a job with Coca-Cola to spy on them to see what new they got in the bag. You know what happens when those corporate spies, not all the time, but a lot of times what happens when Coca-Cola finds out that John Smith is a corporate spy for Pepsi? You don't hear about John Smith no more. You end up reading an article that's saying John Smith's body was found floating in the river and people wondering how his body got in the river. That's the shit that happens in real corporate life. If y'all didn't know how a lot of corporations get down. I ain't trying to be melodramatic. I'm being real. Motherfuckers find out that motherfucker doing shit like that, that motherfucker ain't not breathing no more, man. Because people take their brand serious. I take my brand serious. Y'all need to mark that down. Now, on to my Patreon subscribers and my Patreon exclusive portion.